identifies Bola Ige as a watershed character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela Ande Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television
The midweek edition of Morning Spring right here from Western Spring Television says hello to you out there and good morning. Thank you most sincerely for always being here with us all throughout. Morning Spring is back, the midweek, and we are ready to roll in the best of ways and the best of form. And as always, we want to serve you very juicy informations, conversations, and obviously, you know, we will educate, we will entertain, and we'll definitely inform you in all spheres. It's a pleasure to be back, and we'd like to welcome you. TUNDE IDOWU is my name. That's Irresistible TD on X. Thank you for staying there.
All right, good morning today. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. I want to welcome you to today's program, Morning Spring, where we discuss very important issues, issues of public importance, policies, politics, governance, everything that has to do with the welfare, well-being of the Nigerian people, informing, educating you from the national to the sub-nationals. That's what we do here every weekday. My name is FEMI, and I welcome you. Thank you for always being there. Please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms and, of course, our YouTube channel. We are live on our YouTube channel right now. Thank you for always keeping it a date with us. And, you know, just hearing something coming out of Gabon. Yeah,
the army taking over power in Gabon as well. And I don't know.
Like a coup?
Yeah. The army, I don't know why this is happening in Africa. It's becoming, we are still battling with that of Niger Republic.
Yeah.
We know Burkina Faso, we know Chad, Mali, now Gabon, Niger.
Wow.
Because while we were discussing this before we came up on set, we looked at it that, look, is this not going to give some other countries of the in Africa, the urge, the ability to say, army guys, we too can do this here?
Of course, you know, when it happened with Niger, you could see the ECOWAS, you know, coming up strongly, making very strong statements, because it's becoming a pattern. You know, when this has happened here successfully, there, 2, 3, you know, it's a pattern. When it comes to a pattern, then that means no democratically elected government is safe in Africa. And you will see the leaders coming together to say, this tide must be arrested. Now, because we have like 4 or 5 countries under military junta in Africa, most of them in West Africa. And now Gabon.
It came up as a shock while I saw that news as well, while we were discussing it in the middle of the night. I was like, what? Gabon?
That shows why the leaders of the ECOWAS are talking tough, talking about military intervention, because they know no one actually, in a manner of speaking, is actually safe now. No government.
Now, you know, Femi, at this point in time, my feel is they've just given ECOWAS more room to be able to say, we ain't doing sanctions, we're coming in with the military.
Of course.
With force at this point in time.
In Niger.
Even in Gabon. Because with Niger, we were still like, okay, things will get better. ECOWAS, they've placed some sanctions. There's been some dialogue, diplomacy, negotiations, and I think
interventions, cultural, religious dimension.
Exactly, and it's just been, it's dying down gradually. The junta themselves, they began to listen with them, the dates at which
delegations from Nigeria, the Abdusalami, the Ulamas, and I think Algeria as a country has come into the picture.
And Egypt.
So speak with them. And let's see how it goes. I think they are proposing 6 months. The junta are proposing 3 years. But now this is a shocker.
That's what I'm saying.
The thing is, what is really going on? Is it that democracy is not an African thing? Or the leaders are not giving the people what the people want? Or who is instigating these military men to topple the government in these countries?
For me, my own opinion here is either the democratically elected president isn't doing well.
Okay.
For me, again, my own opinion.
Because you can see the mammoth support in Niger.
That's exactly. On the other hand, the military probably, they have been sidelined, where they're not getting the juicy things anymore. They're not.
Should they
This is Africa.
Because I wonder what is termed juicy. You should be in barracks and then, protecting the territorial integrity of your nation.
FEMI, the world today has seen that governance, there's so much monies that runs in governance.
Especially in abysmal systems.
Abysmal system. Yeah. I concur with you as well. But the point is, look, you can't do without them.
Of course.
To pacify them.
Of course.
There is something there.
The army, the military has always been from time immemorial. From the Roman Empire to every empire, to the Oyo Empire. They have always been. You need them. They are the backup. Because when you talk about military, when you talk about the army or the navy or the air force, military in general, you're talking about the security of lives and properties, especially the territorial integrity of your nation. So they are compulsory. And so moving over to democracy, in which the world feels democracy is the in thing. Of course, we have some countries that are still, being governed by different monarchy, military rule, and the rest of it. But then in 21st century, this is happening, and majorly in Africa. These Gabonese, for me, is a shocker.
Honestly, there's so much to talk about on the show this beautiful Wednesday morning, 30th day in the month of August. Hey, the month is it's definitely running to an end. Let's just get straight into details, making the rounds from the papers at this point in time, but that will surely come in right after this short break. Please stay with us.
Stay with us.
Evelyn Ohiole, King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine would be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and it feels so reserved. It really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe it's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? You know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday? They are saying it favors you, Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
you know.
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world.
And the last time I checked, but it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, she's actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, too much I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my words.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach so much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism, because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs.
So here we go. Let's get to reel out some of the headlines making the round from the different dailies that we've got for you. And it is quite a whole lot making the rounds at this moment in time. We have quite a whole lot of papers. Punch, Guardian, This Day, Daily Trust, and they all have quite a whole lot to talk about for today. I know it's actually coming late. The story that we reeled out about Gabon, it's actually coming, but it's on the pages of some of the papers. Let's just get to reel out some of them as I have them here this morning from the pages of the Punch newspaper. At this time, the big bold caption there says, "Few queues hit Lagos, others as thieves vandalize pipelines." Few queues hit Lagos, others as thieves vandalize pipelines. And you have that rider, about two riders associated to that story there. And it says, marketers halt petrol loading, blame vandals for disruption. More filling stations shut as import hiccups hot supply. Obviously, it's wow. We just hope something drastic, something urgent can be done to ameliorate the sufferings of the very good masses on this issue of fuel subsidy. And just below that, you have a picture of the Minister of Works inspecting one of the major works being carried out by federal government there. They say kudos to the minister. He is getting to work ASAP. All right, you have the story, the headline there. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, FG planned September inauguration. We'll be glad. Once that is done. Coming further to the bottom strip, I never diverted Ogun local government funds. 10.8 billion naira bailout that's credited to the governor. Speaking there, Dakwa Biodun at that point. Then the red strip, On that same daily, man unleashes dog on policeman to evade arrest. And when we're talking about dogs, we're not talking about whiskey or shukeru. We're either talking about Rottweilers that wow, but that's amazing. That man, that dog should go to jail, and the owner himself. NNPP divided over Tinubu, Atiku factions suspend Kwankwaso, others. What is happening with the NNPC? NNPP, beg your pardon. NNPP at this moment in time suspending someone like nobody's indispensable though, but wow,
he's been accused of anti-party activities. And by the way, when you see the man hobnobbing with the APC camp, the PDP camp, many of them have accused him of just doing business with them. But, you know, politics is always an interesting thing. So all the best with the NNPP, by the way. Yeah.
Let's keep our fingers crossed on the top strip. There, Cameroon opening 700 billion naira CBN farmers loan under threat in flooded areas. Obviously, because with all the monies that's been given to farmers to do the needful, that this dam will overwash their farmlands, and that's going to be a big problem there. Flood in 204 Niger communities, 17 displaced, panic in Benue, Anambra, and talking Niger, Algeria demands 6-month transition from junta. Yep. But unfortunately, Gabon has taken another lead when it comes to what is happening with army taking power through the back door. That'll be all from the Punch newspaper.
All right. You know, talking about the situation in Gabon, the military are accusing the government that the election, you know, the election was just concluded there, that is not credible. Yeah. And that the government has interfered, the man in power, you know, and all sorts. Now, but to the Guardian for this morning, Guardian for today, and it asks CBN, BDCs and collision costs as Forex black market premium widens. CBN, BDCs and collision costs as FX black market premium widens. You have the pictorial representation there. Saying Naira loses 41% value. YTD as premium between dollar widens by 19%. And then you have it there, minus 40.7. That's the Naira, and then you have all the other countries and their currencies there. But moving on, private sector, okay, Tinubu's reforms seeks input in federal government's 8-point agenda. I think that happened today when Tony Elumelu visited the president and speaking as, you know, a critical stakeholder in the private sector. But then if he's speaking for himself or he's speaking on behalf of the private sector, it's another kettle of fish. And then you have the picture of the president there. In the rest strip, federal government promises completion of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway by mid-September. Can you guys just finish this road?
Once and for all.
Is it finished now? Complete this road, because there have been different, you know, deadlines that have been given, especially by the former government of Muhammadu Buhari through the Minister of Works then, Raji Fashola, you know, 2022, early 2023, and now we are at the end of September. The road is not yet completed, although almost doesn't win a race, almost doesn't kill a dog, by the way. So please get to work and finish, and completely finish the road, rather. And then at the top strip, an army of retired active generals still recruiting. Okay, that's an analysis page. And please disrupt gay marriage. Arrest 67 guests in Delta. I hope those ones know this is against the laws of our land. The gays or the lesbians, the homosexual, whatever right you think you have, as at this moment, as at today, homosexuality is against the law of our lands in Nigeria. So police disrupt gay marriage, arrest 67 guests in Delta. All right. Reps probe panel denies bribery allegation, summons VCs. Reps probe panel denies bribery allegation, summons VCs. There have been allegations that some probe panels, especially at the House of Reps, are being compromised, that they are demanding and they are using it to make money, allegations and counter allegations, but then let the proper things be done. And lastly, insecurity. Niger proposes amnesty to bandits. Niger, rather. Insecurity. Niger proposes amnesty to bandits. Tunde, here we go again.
Yeah, you see, I just wonder, and I just begin to feel...
That's their governor now.
What?
Governor Bago.
Exactly.
You know, when I saw the news yesterday, the governor was saying they are not negotiating with bandits. They are only, you know, I've forgotten the language they use. What's the difference? You are waving the olive branch that bandits should come. Those who have killed people's children, maimed people's fathers and mothers, and, you know, disrupted people's lives rather, and keep doing that. So they should come, lay their hands like this, that we are not doing it. These are people that have killed thousands. And I'm talking about they killed military men. Yeah. People who are trained with Nigeria's resources, who have given their lives, paying the supreme price. You are now saying, and we have been here before. You remember the former Katsina State governor now? Masari did that. It didn't work. Matawale did that in Zamfara. It didn't work. The Niger State governor now, he's saying he wants to do that. They should just, you know, changing semantics. I wonder how. And, you know, many persons here have said these are the things that strengthen these criminals.
We want to give them that opportunity. Yes, I know former president, late president now, Musa Yar'Adua, did something like that, amnesty for the Niger Delta militants.
You know, when people cite this example, we are talking about different contexts.
Yes, I'm trying to, that's what I'm trying to paint up in here. When he did what he did, amnesty for those in the Niger Delta, there was a reason. The agitators.
They were not killing their men.
Beautiful. And as at that time, their oil, Nigerian governments were taking our oil from that place, and there wasn't anything to show for it.
Yeah, they had reasons.
They had a reason to agitate.
Or not justifiably, they had reasons. No, they were not picking on Nigerian citizens and killing and maiming and disrupting communities.
Absolutely.
No, they're only agitating and then, you know, frowning their eye against the expatriates who have just come on their
land. They are making money and they are not getting anything in return. The society, the community.
So you wonder, people who keep pregnant women, children, and the Nigerian military men and women, you are saying, you are calling them against something that some governors have tried and it didn't work. Governor Bago, if you are hearing us, I'm not sure what your reasons are, but we've been here before and it never worked. It has never shown that it has worked, especially in this banditry, kidnapping and terrorism issue. It can really make one really upset. What are you doing? Especially in a very big, vast land of states like we have in Niger. Niger is a very big state. Very big state.
Yeah.
I'm talking in the expanse of land. And Governor Bago is saying this. Not the best. Governor.
Moving on, still taking a look from This Day newspaper. This Day newspaper is what I have with me, and the big bold caption there, just as virtually all the dailies got for today. NNPC's crisis deepens. Kwankwaso suspended. Founder expelled. Amazing. Then there is a picture just below that major headline. Oba Benin visit Buhari. I think this is the first or second time I'm actually seeing him in the papers ever since he actually finished his tenure as president, and the man has decided to go and take a breather in Katsina. But
you mean former President Buhari?
Former President Muhammadu Buhari. It's really nice to see his face. Then Mr. President, Mr. Former President, anyhow, we'll still refer you to.
When you say it's really nice to see his face, I wonder if so many persons will share that sentiment with you.
No matter what. You know, just like the Yorubas will say that if you've not seen someone in a while, when you say ekujometa,
so it's ekujometa now.
Just ekujometa.
Your house has to say kwanabu.
Kwanabu. So probably he will understand that. Okay. All right. For other stories still making the rounds from the papers this day for today. IFC invites female entrepreneurs to apply for 5,000 startup programs in Africa. Thank you for that. And moving further up, my success depends on your support, prayers. Fagbemi tells class of 85. That's the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice speaking there. The writer there says judiciary critical in fight against corruption. Please note that it's needed. And there's a report that states that Lagos ranked 5th best African city to live, work. Yeah, trust Lagos. A go for show any day, anytime. And the top strip still, Lagos, Enugu governors jostle for investors at LCCI's Invest Nigeria Expo 2023. And the governor there, Sanwo-Olu, says states committed to being Nigeria's preferred investment destination. Mbawu's investors with pledge to grant CFO within 72 hours. De-risk investment environment. All right. Those are some of the headlines making the rounds from this day newspaper.
And we move over now to the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust for today. Despite flood alert, states yet to evacuate citizens. Despite flood alert, states yet to evacuate citizens. And rice farms submerged in Taraba. Residents vacate homes. NIWA deploys boats for rescue operations. Build new locations for evacuation. Action Aid tells governors. And this is a shame, really. Let's call it what it is today. Because these flood alerts, the warnings have been in for like some days, if not for weeks now. So what's happening to states?
We tend to just ignore so many things.
I will focus on the federal government most times.
Why?
How about the state? These are primarily your people.
These are your people. That's why I think it was in the course of the week while we discussed about the issue about local government autonomy that state governors have been holding on. The local governments who are actually closer to this, the grassroots, the people. Once this type of thing, information gets to the public, gets to every local government, every state, the country at large, those that will be able to know that, this is the home of Mr. Olatunde, and this, empower them, let them do the needful, take these people away, because believe you me, if we have to wait until the National Emergency Management Agency from the federal level
comes to the state to do what you are supposed to have done, then challenges will happen. These are natural situations that most times we don't have power over. Look, you can imagine what is happening in the U.S. The Hurricane Idalia, you know, Cotton Cruz State, Florida, part of Cuba, and they're already waiting for it. Evacuations have been done. Wildfires in Canada, so many places. Now, Nigeria, we have this warning already. What are we doing? What are the states doing? Because we tend to look at Abuja most times. Why should it be? Man.
State governors, please, do the needful.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
And fast as well. Fast. Let's evacuate while we can. And not just talk about now taking people off floats. Do the needful. You know, many persons are talking now. Create, resettle them, create new communities for them. Take care of them, and because these things will come and it will go. It doesn't last.
Yes.
So make sure you take care of your people. Show that you care. Instead of just junketing around and cruising around in your V6 and V8. We are not, as they say, we are not beefing you with your opulence. But let the people know that you care for them, because you're actually there because these guys are actually there because the people have voted you into power.
Yes, please.
And that's the right thing to do. So we are calling every state government out that you have something to do with this. Even those that are not really in the danger of flood, please care for your people.
Yes.
Show it that you care. Okay, you have some picture there with some disturbing images there. But at the bottom strip, 6 die. Others injured as building collapses at Bono IDP camp. Not again. You can't run from fire pan and then run into fire. These are persons in the IDPs, internally displaced persons. They have run for shelter, for safety, and they are now in these camps, and now they are being bedeviled by structures collapsing. People should just be held accountable in Nigeria, and I think that's part of our being. It seems everything just goes on, and nobody is really held to account. I remember there was a time years ago when, was in the India or the Saudi Arabian government, I think through the High Commission, went to some IDP camps and then gave them, I think maybe for Salah or thereabout, these dates, popularly called the
Yes.
the fresh one from Saudi Arabia, they gave it to them to share. My brother.
What happened?
Okay, your guess is as good as mine. Few days later, these dates, popularly called the Bino, found its way to the local market, being sold. Let's move on. Until now, I can't remember anybody being prosecuted because these are gifts meant for the internally displaced persons given to them by other countries who care for them. And now these things will find its way out, possibly from one desk to the other, one distributor, you know the way we do around here.
It is so disheartening.
So disturbing. And it doesn't stop. That's this. And these are calamities that has befell them at the IDP camp in Borno State. Now, Wike appears on APC PDP campaign councils for Bayelsa governorship. This is really interesting. Wike appears on APC and PDP campaign councils for Bayelsa governorship poll. Okay, and Tinubu appoints a new NDDC board and management. Okay, we hope this board will work and somebody will be on their matter. Because this NDDC for years has been a cash cow. You remember the probe that happened 2 or 3 years ago with somebody fainting, and at the end of the day, some persons being, called. Now, what has become, that's the issue with Nigeria and Nigerians, why they don't trust when government are setting out to probe these kind of situations or these boards. You just get to see that pessimism, like okay, they are going there to just enjoy themselves,
just waste their time again.
That fainting situation that time happened on a live TV. That probe was being televised live, and that didn't happen. I remember one of the critical stakeholders then, I would not like to mention him now, on a national television. He came and said it was flying. I think the chairman at the time, it was flying to UK to attend the matriculation now, convocation ceremonies of some of the students that have been sponsored by the NDDC. Now, he was going there and with some of his persons. Now, some of those students had to speak up on a live television interview and say, this man that is saying is coming to come to our convocation or thereabout, the board, the NDDC, has not even paid the tuition
of the students
in which you are going to attend, and these are the issues now 2-3 years down the line. What has become of the NDDC probe? Your guess is as good as mine. And lastly, lastly now, police storm gay marriage venue in Delta, arrest corporal, in parentheses now, and 65 others. To the top strip, NMPP factions differ over Kwankwanso's suspension, BOT chairs expulsion, and Algeria proposes 6 months transition to resolve Niger crisis. And lastly now, Nigerian equities beat 15-year record, hit 66,490 basis points. That is all on the front page of the Daily Trust for today.
Moving over straight to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper, the big bold caption there talks about fuel subsidies and what have you. Let me just bring it over. Subsidy cuts windfall. Government saves 1.83 trillion naira in 2 months. I just hope that money will be judiciously used. The rider there says saving to be used for projects. No more borrowing. Elumelu talking here says government's bold decisions in Nigerians' interest. That was when Tony Elumelu visited Mr. President, and he said, look, the private sector giving the thumbs up from Mr. President. All right. And the picture just below that major headline, you have the Minister of Works doing the needful, inspecting one of the overhead bridges there yesterday. Can we just let me just see if we can get where that is in I think
it was in Lagos.
Lagos.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's a good one. Yeah. So thank you. Well done, Mr. Minister. And you have that rider there. That story there says Lagos Ibadan Expressway ready next month.
I say amen.
And the red strip on the bottom strip says NNPP BOT suspends Kwankwaso, and Ogbuku is chair of new NDDC board, who has just been appointed. Congratulations to him. We wish you the very best, and we just hope you do the needful. Moving over a little bit to the top strip, CJ earns more than VP. Senate President says RMAFC. The rider there says NBA proposes 200% pay rise for jurists. And stock market hits highest level on the top strip of the same daily. Governors lead APC battles in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa.
Yeah.
And expect heavy rains in Ondo, Ogun, Osun, 26 others. Nimet alert. Mr. Governor of Osun State, we call on you at this moment. Osun has been stated as part of the states that,
you know, the way you call on the governor, like trouble is coming.
Please, aside the fact that we look unto God Almighty in every way, you are the God here. You're the number one person here, and we just hope that the needful will be done, Mr. Governor.
I just say he is the leader.
He is the leader.
Yeah,
we wish we wish him the very best, and please let's do the needful. We just hope just do the needful. Let's just keep it simple, and we wish you the very best,
the
Mr.
thing
Governor.
Is, the warning keeps coming.
Do we adhere to this warning?
So at what point do we take action? Action is the matter now. And you can see these states that are being called out. So it means this is significant.
Do you know that we're not talking about 2 states, 3 states?
Yeah.
They just mentioned Ondo, Ogun, Osun, 26 others. So we're looking at about 29 states.
Of course.
Look. Everybody who is associated to doing the needful, NEMA, from the state level to the federal level, please don't get tired. National Orientation Agency, please don't get tired.
Ministry of Information.
Ministry of Information.
Yeah.
We need more awareness.
Ministry of Environment.
Exactly.
The Governor's Advisory Council on Climate, because I know there's something like that being headed by the CPS. Everybody must just work.
Okay.
It must work.
So let's just hope what we can do at this moment in time. Then you have a report. Lagos is 5th best African city to live and work in. All right. Will you relocate to Lagos? And or you ought to spend 8.6 billion naira on 200,000 households, 1 million families. All right. We wish you the very best for your state. Thank you. That'll be all from the Nation newspaper for today.
Of course, and I think we have to just round it off here at these headline segment of the program for today. So many stories, and then bringing this information to us is not just for us to know about them, but those ones that need actions. We must just take actions, either as a people and as a government as well. Now, we've been talking about state government, local government, federal government taking actions, especially on these rain, flood, matter, let's speak to individuals as well.
Yeah.
Please do the needful.
Yeah.
Perhaps you have been reached and you are told that where you are living
is a lowland.
Is a lowland and there is danger of you being overrun by flood. Please, our people, kindly listen to them. You know, you have these people struggle. Some of our people struggle with the fact that this is my house, this is my land, this is my father's land. It's when you are alive that you can claim those things. Please, let's adhere to directive and instructions, especially by those involved. We'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, we get talking on things that you will really want to know, things that will really interest you, especially about the state and, of course, the nation as well. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent of multiple kingdoms and empires under native rulers. The conference, otherwise referred to as Congo Conference, regulated European colonization and trade in Africa as initiated by German leader Otto von Bismarck. The Berlin Conference is often called the scramble for and partitioning of Africa, as each of the imperial powers carved separate portions of the continent for themselves without recourse to racial and cultural identities and differences. 137 years after the Berlin Conference was held, Africa remains a legitimized playground for European nations that sought to exploit its wealth and resources and manipulate its human capital to promote trades and investments of Western powers. Western Spring Television identifies Berlin Conference as a major event in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee Diary, Constitution and the People, among 6 other books. Bola Ige was a colorful politician, elected governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of FEMI, the Yoruba social, cultural and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bola Ige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bola Ige as a watershed character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Oshogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best-known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history.
Here we go at this moment in time, and I want to say thank you for being here with us on the show. Morning Spring is the name of the program. I would like to let you know that you can follow us on all our social media handles. We are live and kicking on all the social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, better known as X, either way. We're trying to get used to the X thing. It's at Western Spring Television. Our YouTube channel is live as well. You can get to watch all our programs, recaps, and live programs. Like, share, subscribe. We will definitely love to hear what you feel. What are your comments? Today marks a very significant day in Osun State. Some states had actually started the distribution of the palliatives, grains as sent by the federal government. Some of the states said they have received out of the 5 billion naira proposed by the federal government, 2 billion has been given to some of the states. Where are we in Osun State at the moment? What is being done? When will these palliatives begin to get to the different households? What channel, what measure, what criteria will be used to distribute these palliatives? To discuss this with us is One of the senior special assistant to the governor in Osun State and ICT, a dear brother, a friend, a colleague as well, who is doing so very well for himself. And I'd like to welcome SHOLA into the studio, and who will do this with us. SHOLA, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's good to be here again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
There's the news that Osun State government will today, as of yesterday when this press release came out, will begin the distribution of the first batch of rice palliatives, totaling 6,300 bags, and on a local government basis. Brother, here you are in the best position to enlighten us as to how this will be done. What are the measures? Where will this begin? And how will it begin? Let's look at that first before we know what we will be doing.
Okay, so I would like to start by saying, happy anniversary to the indigenous and citizens of Osun State. I mean, Osun is 32.
Yes.
And that's a long time to have been existing. That being said, I need to also say that it is so, it's rather unfortunate that we have to be, doing this at this time, a time where things are very hard, in the country. However, the target of the palliative from both the federal government and the state government is the less privileged. The people who cannot afford, at this time, people whose finances have been affected, people who, the removal of subsidy has taken the toll on their businesses and the rest of them. And that's why a committee was composed, and a segment of each, a fraction of each sector, was picked. IPAC is there for political parties, CAN is there, Muslim community is there, people with disability is there, and all of that to ensure that there's a fair sharing of the palliative, and ensure that at least to a large extent it goes round. Or local governments.
Are the market women artisans, are they represented?
Yes, so there's a selectivity that was done.
Okay, great.
And then they are in the they are part of the people that were selected to be a part. Of course, there is no way we would not select market women. They represent a large fraction of the people that are closer to the community. So, like I said, labor union is there, Muslim community is there, pensioners are there, Christian Association of Nigeria, people living with disabilities, IPAC, market women, and then traditionalists, journalists, youth groups, and other pressure groups in the States. So those are the people that made up the composition of the committee. So from today, like was said yesterday, the distribution of rice palliative will start from today.
Okay.
Starting from Atakumasa East and West, Aidade, Ayedire local governments, Boluwaduro, Boripe, and then North and South, Egbedore, and Ejigbo local governments.
Will it be based on days, after days?
No. So,
because it be done simultaneously?
No. Because every of the rice palliative that was received arrived to Oshogbo.
Okay.
So the distribution to local government will be done in days. Today, tomorrow, and next tomorrow. But
the distribution to the local government is what we are talking about. Not to the people per se.
Yes. So when it gets to the local government, based on this grouping the committee that I said earlier, they will not decide.
Okay.
At that level, to go round to the people. They decide it to be shared according to that grouping.
We really need to clarify so that people will not just go to the local government.
Yeah, I would say that because after it was announced yesterday, somebody called me and said, "So where do I get my own?" And I said, "That's not the way it's going to be shared. It's going to be shared based on local government from Osun State from Oshogbo here to each local government, and then from that local government it goes round through this selection that I already said earlier. I also need to say that people should be careful at this time, because I've seen a number of fake links being shared, and you see they say Osun State government palliative form, and somebody shared the link. A number of Osun State online, yeah. So Osun State government did not do any form. There is no form, no online form that anybody is going to fill to access the palliative. I need to say that because what is happening is that when you put your email address in that form, you are probably being hacked. And a lot of people don't know. The people who are doing that are doing it for an evil intention. Osun State government does not have any form, online palliative form. This is the way that we're going to share it. On Thursday, it will be the turn of Ife Central, Ife Dayo, Ife East, Ife Lodun, Ife North, Ife South, Ila, Elisha East, Elisha West, and the Report local government. Then on Friday, Irewole, Ishokan, Iwo, Obokun, Odotin, Olaoluwa, Olorunda, Oriade, Urulu, Oshogbo, and then area office in Modaeke. Okay. So that's the way it's going to be shared from Oshogbo to those local government. And then at the local government level, the number of people that I named earlier will receive it and then take the decision of sharing formulas. Okay.
So just so we are clear, yes, it's these local governments, based on these states, that will come and receive their portion for their local government. Yes. Okay. And so an arrangement be made for the transportation down to those local governments. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. So at that level, these people that I listed earlier will receive, and then the sharing formulas will be decided on. So are we saying is the local government that will determine the sharing? No, don't forget I said there is a committee. Yeah. Of course, at that I mean when these things are get to the local government. When it gets to the local government, that's what I'm saying. So what's next? So there's a committee that was set up by the state government. Yeah. That committee oversees the distribution. That is going to local government. I don't mean that local government chairman will receive them. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when it gets to that place as well. You know, of course, in this committee, there are representatives of these committee members in each local government. Okay. So that committee will dissolve into those local governments to decide the distribution. Of course, the selection of these same committee members will be selected at that level. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So labor union at local government, market women at the local government, these are people with disability at the local government.
What else to clarify who are these people so that people don't feel they're party men. So we have from the labor union, we have from market women. Yes, IPAC is there for political parties. Oh, okay. Artisans are there. Okay. So that's religious leaders, Muslim community there. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, now let's look at this. Once it gets to the local government, as from today, yes. When is it likely the distribution begins? Immediate. It's immediate. There's no point keeping it. The idea of the situation like Bayelsa State, it's a remnant. The idea of distribution is for it to be made immediately. There's no point keeping it, so we're not going to keep it. Okay. It's going to be immediate. Yes. All right. Let me even ask, maybe we should have started from there. There was a time in which many persons were asking questions from the Osun state government that some states have started their own sharing. Yeah. And then we got information from a member of the cabinet that Osun was waiting for everything to be completed. So let me ask you, Mr. ISHOLA, does Osun have all its share of rise from the federal government as of this morning? Well, is it complete? No, don't forget that when it was that particular news came out, it was announced as the first phase. Remember that it was announced as the first phase. Yeah. And what was said then was that we're expecting 5 trucks of rice containing 600 bags each. That first phase has been completed. Okay. You do understand what I'm saying? So that first phase, the number of trucks that we're expecting at that first phase is the 5 received. Okay. Is it the 5 trucks? And we have received beyond that. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say. You know, if at that time what we're expecting was 3,000. Yeah. But today we're sharing more than that. Okay. We have received more than that. How many are we sharing? We're sharing 5,700, 6,300. Okay. We're sharing 6,300. So we have received. Actually, we have received more than the first phase. Okay. So we're expecting more, of course. Still expecting more. Yeah, it's not that it's completed already. No, it's not. Now, when we want to ask that, and you know, it's not out of context or out of place to ask and say, won't it be the normal party member kind of distribution that will be done? It's only imperative that we clear the air, because some will say, okay, now their member then go put how will it work for persons having that fear, and justifiably so, because people's experience is what shapes the expectation. What are you saying on that? Like I said from the beginning, that a committee was composed and representative of different associations are there. Can Muslim community, market women, labor union, you know, people with disability and the rest of them. That is the sharing formula. Like that's on that basis that this palliative will be shared. So IPAC, like I said, is represented there. IPAC is a composition of all political parties in the state. Inter-party advisory committee. You understand? So there's no point, there's no way IPAC will sit in a committee and only PDP members will benefit in that in it, except of course if you mean that IPAC also is PDP.
That's what I'm trying to say. So, of course, it's expected that opposition parties or whatever people, of course, people will say that. But I'm assuring you that that's not the way to go. We're not going that way. We're not going that way.
Mr. SHOLA, who are the ones eligible for this?
Everyone is eligible.
Everyone? How do you
but you know,
everyone?
See, it's impossible to say we'll stand by the roadside and start sharing.
Okay.
That's why we are going through the route of organizations. So people from that organization, like I listed earlier, even journalists are there. So that means journalists will get theirs through NUJ, most definitely, because that's the union of journalists. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if anybody in the association, market women have their association, labor union has theirs, people with disability have theirs, you know, CAN is there, Muslim community, those organizations. So people will get from their organizations. That's the point.
You know, the danger of that is this. Yes. Maybe I should point it out. There are some persons that doesn't belong to any of these organizations.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about traders and market women who ply their wares at the market. There are persons selling their wares in front of their houses, and they don't belong to any of these organizations that you have talked about.
They're either a Christian or a Muslim. They're either a Christian or a Muslim.
So let's interrogate it further. Okay. When you say CAN, so how is CAN going to do it? They will go to every churches or what?
They have CAN as an CAN. We will not decide for CAN. CAN as,
but the people have to know.
No, so CAN is an organization.
Yes.
They have their executive who was represented in the meeting. They would receive. They will probably call their executive meeting and decide on how to share it.
So it behoves on
because
CAN.
I know CAN has a block. They have a blocking system like youth wing, women wing, and the rest of them. So they will decide on how they are going to share to ensure that the fair sharing.
Okay. Now let's look at what it looks like. The quantity of this. Somebody said, "Is it not the same 1 Congo or 1 Derrica?"
Because we've seen some funny pictures coming from states.
Look.
And then Tunde, I saw one yesterday that just some measure of oil. You see the way I do my hand like this, and some measure of spaghetti that you can even count.
Oh my goodness.
Some strands. You know, people say
what is ours here in Osun State going to look like?
You see, to be honest,
yes,
we have. If you look at the number of people living in this state as against what we've gotten as palliative. Let me also explain that palliative, like it's been said, is like a support. Yeah, you know, like the government trying to support people for living.
Yeah,
it isn't like government paying people. Like it's a support. So of course,
it's
just to cushion the effect of something. So we would like. So it's just. So I'm saying that because a lot of people would honestly believe that they're just doing this. They don't really care. But it's pushing the effect. So the number of people living in this state as against the number of rights we've gotten, of course, you and I know that people would have to, share with one another. I won't talk about, I've seen those videos that you talked about too, and I won't talk about the fact that we are even lucky to have received 6,300 bags. Some states got less than that. So, and then I think it also depends on the decisions of the governors, of each state. So the number of bags that we're sharing, like I said, 6,300, we're expecting more. And that would mean that what we're going to be sharing here will be somehow, reasonable enough.
Okay.
Reasonable enough.
Yeah. Talking about, maybe for a while, let's leave the rice. How about the money? The 5 billion naira that has been shared to states.
Only 2 has been received out of 5.
Osun State has 2 billion.
Yeah, only 2 billion out of 5. Osun has gotten 2 billion out of 5.
Okay.
The decision for that has not been made public. I mean, the formula, whatever method that the state government would use for that money has not been made known to the public. So I will not be speaking on that. But the Osun State government has received 2 billion out of 5.
So it's only the food items that are being shared right
today,
now?
Yes.
Okay.
And now we're just looking at just rice, no other thing, no other spaghetti noodles or milk, beverages.
So what we received, but as of today, apart from the rice, we have also 3,000 metric tons of maize. Yeah. Okay. So those are the things that will be shared today. To those
received from the federal government as well.
From federal government, yeah. So those are the things that will be shared.
And looking out, aside what the federal government plans to do for the citizens generally, is there any other thing Osun State government is planning to support what has been done by the federal government?
Of course. What I want to say, what's Osun as a state doing?
So most definitely Osun has a plan. But just like the way I said about the money, I would not be sharing those plans, except of course it's been signed off and made public. Okay. You pardon me for that, so that I don't go, I don't go ahead of the horse. It has to be made public. But I can assure the people of Osun State that Osun State government, we have a plan. The reason it's not being made public is because they're trying to, we're trying to cross the T's, and dot the I's. So ensure that, because of course we cannot rush to make some of this in public. If we do, we would run aground. People would, we will not be. It's best to plan something effectively and then go ahead with it before, other than just announcing things and not be able to push through with it.
Mr. ISHOLA, someone will want to ask and say, for how long?
Well, so
for how long? This is not just happening.
Yeah,
almost 3 months now.
You see, the question of for how long, Osun is lucky, I should say. Lucky.
You keep saying lucky.
Yeah, how do you mean? Lucky. I keep saying that.
Yes.
Because when subsidy was removed, one of the things I told someone, a friend of mine, was crime rate would increase, especially in places like Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. And I was proven right when I went to Abuja last week. People now can't park their cars by the roadside with ease because boys would buggle it and even take the car away. And that's because many of these guys are probably commercial riders and all of those things that they cannot afford to, do their businesses anymore. But we've not really have that record of such in the state. That's why I said Osun is lucky. Lucky with the government, lucky with the kind of people who live in the state. Now, when you ask the question of for how long, you need to also consider the fact that there is a lot of projects that are ongoing already. And Osun is indebted a large amount of money. The Osun State government is owing a large amount of money, paying stretched over close to 30 years with the way that some of those loans are structured. So while we're trying to pay back loans, we're trying to pay salaries, we're trying to also see that we are able to share, palliatives to people and, pushing the effect of subsidy removal. So all those things put together is a lot. And it has to be reasonably planned. That's the point. We cannot rush to announce any palliative because we have a number of issues at hand regarding funds. I hope you understand my point. So I understand, of course, we're all in it together. I understand my car is showing yellow as well. We understand, but the government has to plan it well before it's announced.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, an announcement will be made. People would get to benefit from it.
Yeah, I'm asking that, especially considering what is happening in the nation. And of course, Osun is not isolated.
Yes.
It's a national thing. The removal of the subsidy and its attendant effect on the lives and livelihood of the people. Income is getting leaner. And what you are spending it on is getting bigger. So you are not really...
I spend mine on petrol.
Yeah, okay. Someone wants to say you're in government, so you should be fine. Now, talking about time, you've talked about the Osun that your government net, the level of the indebtedness and everything. But one would say when you take over a state or administration or a group or reign over of a particular thing, as you are inheriting the good part, you are inheriting the liabilities as well.
We're not denying that.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't. I'm not sure many persons will want to give you that yard to say these are the reasons why we have not done this. Especially your government came into power November 27, if I'm not mistaken. The subsidy was announced to be removed on May 29th. We've had the first 3 months of the government at the center now. But one will say, okay, you have given these things, you are not rushing. I'm not sure the word rush suffices again at this point, Mr. ISHOLA.
You see, I think you
for the Okada man listening to you coming from Okini right now, or that person sending tomato in front of the house, or somebody somewhere in Ibodi, in Atakumasa, or somewhere listening to you, and you are saying you don't want to rush.
let me say this.
You think they want to hear that?
You are interpreting my words, but this is the point. We all
tell us.
We are all involved.
Okay.
My family is affected. Family members, both nuclear and extended. You know, I'm personally affected. You know, we are all affected. Right. So when I say that, I'm saying it concerns all of us. Right. Yeah. So it isn't like maybe somebody is sitting somewhere not caring about what the people are going through. We are all concerned, right? You see, when I remember clearly when President Buhari took over government, he was saying that the government of Jonathan, you know, had money to waste because at that time the crude price in the market, world market, had gone up and all of that. And he claimed that when he came into government, the prices had gone down, and then the government doesn't have much to spend and all of that. But this is the point. In the States, don't forget that, of course, you know that the decision to remove fuel subsidy is not of the state government.
Yes.
It's a decision that was taken by the federal government, and then all of us have to live in it. There has to be a solution. Personally, the method I don't agree with. That's my personal opinion anyway. Subsidy removal should have been done at the point when we can refine our own oil. If we can't refine our oil and we remove subsidy, we don't even know how much fuel that is imported into Nigeria. We don't even know how many liters of fuel we spend, that is used in Nigeria a day. And then you go ahead and remove subsidy. You don't even have a formula to, But that's a topic for another day. But the point that I'm trying to make when I said that is this. Yes, it's been 3 months. I mean, even the federal government who announced the removal, when did they give the palliatives out? So we are trying to solve a problem that was imposed on us. Mark my words. I'm not saying that we are not responsible to the people, but that the decision to remove subsidy is on the federal government. Each state, the state government is the closest to the people, not the federal government. So the effect is on the state government. It's the state government that will spend money. The federal government will receive, of course, imagine when it was announced, the federal government said, oh, we have released money to your state government. And of course, everybody is holding state government responsible, not even the federal government who announced the removal. So the federal government who announced the removal did not share palliative until almost after 2 months. I understand, of course, like I said earlier, you cannot compare the way Lagos state government, for instance, will announce subsidy palliative to what our Osun will announce. Lagos state government is sitting on the ladder amount of money, considering the internally generated revenue and all of that, and then considering the fact that there are a lot of people employed in Lagos in companies and all of those things, so they have a way of, and then But in Osun,
Mr. ISHOLA, if one would say, if you can mention Lagos, why not mention Borno State?
No. So those are the indices that cannot be compared.
How come Borno
already has a poverty something program, because of course the number of people who are poor in Borno is way higher than in any other state in Nigeria. Okay. Don't also forget, Borno is just coming back from Boko Haram insurgency. So already there are people who are displaced in Borno. Borno is receiving not only from federal government but from foreign agencies, foreign organizations who are supporting people that are recovering from insurgency. So we cannot compare Osun to Borno in that regard, because
no, I am not. I'm only talking about states that are
That's why I said
already doing that's why I said palliative thing.
That's why I said
apart
even
from
before,
the IDP.
So even before subsidy removal, Borno already has a structure of something that looks similar. So it's easy to transpose. It's easy to shift, from just the people, a section of the people to the entire, the state. That's the difference. But for Osun, when I said we can't rush to announce, what I mean is it has to be well planned. And when it's planned, we'll announce it. All right.
So let's look at on the long run. The 6,300 probably between now and 12 noon or about 2 p.m. it must have gotten to various places. But on the long run, are there plans in place by the state government? Because we cannot totally to alleviate, cushion the effect of the bad economy that we are here facing generally. And each state has its own dimension. One state is higher than the other either way. But here in Osun State, are there plans made by this administration of His Excellency Governor Ademola Anuruddin Jackson Adeleke on the long run, that even after federal government's palliative finishes,
are you talking plans to continue sharing palliative or plans to alleviate poverty?
Yeah, exactly. That's just it.
You see,
because I know 6,300, just as I said, within how many hours
that's the idea.
But by tomorrow morning, it's over.
That's the idea, really.
It's something to take these people out of this situation. At least let's have a sigh of, I can have 3 square meals.
You see, that's some of the things that I talk about personally.
Yeah.
When people focus a lot on what government will do, you know, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, because it's government's job to provide basic amenities.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So they should focus on the government. But there are some things that, for instance, the palliative, like I said earlier, is for support. So what it means is that it's not going to solve a problem, a long-term problem.
Absolutely.
It's solving an immediate problem.
That's why it's called palliative.
It's solving an immediate problem.
It doesn't solve the issue.
It's solving an immediate problem.
Yeah.
So the real problem is poverty, right? And a right-thinking person will understand that the problem of poverty has to be solved from the bottom, you know, and not the head. So you would realize that when the cabinet was formed, apart from the fact that we have a commissioner that is overseeing, you know, cooperative and commerce, we have a commissioner who is also seeing to, you know, the issue. We have governor has an advisor on commerce and industry. You know, the idea of all that, and then we have also a commissioner sitting on empowerment. Now, the idea of all of these things is so that we can create a structure of programs, training programs. For instance, in the ICT where I sit, last time I talked, I was talking about the fact that we are looking to seek a partnership with a company like Cisco. As a matter of fact, we had done 2 series of meetings with Cisco already, you know, trying to strike a partnership on how we can get training for people, you know, and then certifications, and then ensure that we're able to secure them, maybe internship, you know, and then from there transpose them to maybe freelancers and all of those things. So there is always a plan. The good thing that kills plan, or the bad thing that kills plan, is implementation. And that's why it has to be well planned. And I keep emphasizing well planned, because we have seen empowerment programs all around us before. And then we have seen people, I mean, if you go back and read news in the past, you would see empower 10,000, empower 300,000. Where are those people? You know, where are those people now? If we empower somebody last year, that person is supposed to be powerful this year. Because the power is supposed to be so much by now. But most times it doesn't end like that. People who are trained to do fishery, some of them will sell whatever is given to them. People who are trained to do makeup, some of them will sell the kits. So apart from the fact that we want to empower people, a lot would need to be done on orientation. That something coming from the government is so you can become someone, you can, you know, be independent of your own, other than this is from the government and then you go spend it or you go sell it off. So there is a ministry that's overseeing empowerment for the state government.
Okay.
And of course, a ministry like ICT also has a plan of training and all of those things for people. So that would be a time when those announcements will be made, and that's all that will be done. But at today, you know, today I can say that Nigeria is in the case of emergency. And then, so God forbid, you see what happened in Gabon, you know, God forbid all of those things. But I am assuring the people of Osun State that apart from the fact that we're doing palliatives, empowerment programs will be announced.
And I want to thank all these things, all these offices you have mentioned, the ICT, special advisors. It's all geared towards creating wealth.
Yes, of course. I mean, who trains people for nothing? Who trains people for nothing? If I get trained, for instance, in ICT, and I'm certified to work, I would, if you invite me, I'll not come here. I'll be a big boy, I'll tell you.
Even big boys come.
Well, let's try a little bit. I want to take you away from the issue of palliatives a little bit. NIMET has actually stated that Osun State is part of the state. Once this Cameroon Dam is opened, are there measures already put in place by the state government to evacuate those on the lowlands? We also what happened in Nigeria last year when the dam was opened, and I think I made an illustration here that all
this suggesting that the states should evacuate.
No, shouldn't they?
Well, so I mean, because when you look at that
in the Daily today, Osun, Ogun,
26 other states.
I'd seen the report as well.
Yeah.
When the last flooding that happened in the Kiri, one of the things that was done is that mechanized equipment were moved to the town, and river paths were opened up, so that the water can flow easily. I think that if we are able to allow water flow easily, there would not be a case of flooding in a large part of the state. We need to talk to our people to stop dropping, refuse in rivers, refuse in, drainage, because that's the way. If our drainages are effectively working and people are not dropping refuse in it, and then river paths are not made to be a place where people are. I mean, even you go to that river path before after Aregbe in Oshogbo, you will see people dropping refuse there. So those are the issues that we have. If we are able to open, and of course, the Ministry of Environment and Sanitation is overseeing that. And with this report, of course, the NIMET reports just came out. So of course, the state government would have to, sit on it and.
No, there have been some in the past.
Osun wasn't there. Osun wasn't there. The one that was in the past, Osun wasn't there. But this recent report is the one that covered Osun State. So
I think Osun was there. You remember we've read some.
Yes, we did.
And some towns were mentioned.
Yeah. So the Ministry of Environment and Sanitation had started something like that in places like Ikire. So that means what we need to do is to expand, and I'm sure that will be done.
Yeah,
but nobody hears this kind of report and sits.
Of course, before you got there, when we were doing the papers,
I listened to you.
Osun and some of these states were listed, and then 26 others. And we understand that Osun's case might not really be a case of evacuation.
Yeah, that's why
different topography matters, different kind of the geography matters. But then people wants to see that the people are fine. That's all. And talking about dumping of refuse, as bad as it is, in which we usually tell people not to do that. You see some environmentalists say that contributes just some a minute kind of percentage to the real issues. That there are more issues. Yeah.
Those environmentalists, have they been particularly in Lagos?
No, if I may land. Now, like dumping of refuse, I said it is bad, but I said there are more bigger issues than just the issue of dumping of refuse. People should not do that, actually. But you've talked about passively the case of dredging, waterways, and people knowing what to do in case of emergency. That takes me to the place of information. Because we can see it here. Some of the people listening to us are listening. Definitely, Western Spring Television has the reach. Rave 91.7 FM has the reach. But what message is the state passing? How are they doing it? For people to know that there is danger ahead, but it can be averted.
So,
especially into our various languages and dialects, for the people at the grassroots to be aware.
So, this report just came out, right? And the ministry that is overseeing that particular aspect for the government is already taking steps even before, because of course we had a case at hand in the Ikire beforehand. So all these decisions are decisions that will be made, so that we have, probably an advert on TV, on radio, even in newspapers that tell people, okay, don't do this. This is what you should do in case of emergency and all of that. Those decisions will be made. I'm saying this report just came out, so of course the meeting, and I would relay this message as well, so that so that we can have an announcement made, in that regard. I understand the message.
Yeah, let me thank you for that. Let me take you away, and we can't have you here and not talk about your PPA, your primary place of assignment. In as much as you have it here, I understand there are hubs in those states, technical hub, city hub. I know a place near a popular shopping mall.
Private or government?
Yeah, government.
Okay.
Yeah. In Lagos, of course. I remember when I was serving in Delta State, we have ICT hubs.
Yeah.
And that people, talented guys, of course, Nigeria is blessed. You can't take it away that the young people are doing amazingly well.
We the young people.
Okay. We the young people now.
You might probably the older.
All right. Now talking about hubs in Osun. Where are we? ICT ops.
Well, you see,
verifiable ones.
Yeah, I know there are ops in Osun.
Yeah,
most of them privately owned. And then there are ops within institutions in Osun, which of course belongs to the state government. SRK, in Osun State University, Oshogbo campus has one.
ICT or just mechatronics?
No, ICT hub. Opolo Innovation, has a hub inside Osun State University. Osun State University has its own hub. College of Technology SRK, they have a hub. That, of course, that's the government property, but like the way I say it often, Osun is a virgin state when it comes to this conversation of ICT. In fact, I keep telling people that the number of people that we refer to as IT experts in Osun only have digital skills, and that you're talking about digital marketing, and you're talking about social media management. Those are basics in IT. There are core areas of IT, and those are the guys that are regarded as IT experts. So, and then a place like Ife is a community filled with hubs, mostly privately owned, because Obafemi University has produced a large number of tech owners. A number of online applications that we have running in Nigeria today. Those guys were graduates of Obafemi University. Some of them stayed back. A friend of mine owns a hub in Ife and is a graduate of OAU. So those hubs are there. Let me say this. The sustainability of a project like a tech hub can only be effectively managed with a public-private partnership because government is stranded and new government would come. This current state government is focused on ensuring that ICT in Osun improves. Now, another government can come and say, my focus is agriculture. And probably, of course, because whatever we have in ICT would continue being managed by the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology. But if the government focuses on, if another government focuses on agriculture, for instance, that area would suffer. Because of its, and then because we are also going to be seeking partnership with foreign organizations, if that new government does not focus on ICT, those organizations will withdraw. Because of course they expect a level of commitment from the state government. And that's why we're working tirelessly to ensure that we, is it tirelessly? To ensure that we have, a working relationship with the guys in the private sector.
But is Osun State planning one? Beyond these orbs domiciled in state-owned institutions, is Osun, you have talked about the PPP thing now, planning to have one that will be
a central
one by the state, either with a PPP arrangement or...
When you say central one, you mean we should have one in Oshogbo?
No, I'm not talking about it. You haven't laid finger to any owned by the state beyond those domiciled in the institutions. Now, when you say, the examples I gave you, those state government has one in Akure. The Delta State government has one, many in Lagos as well. So is Osun looking at having one like that, either being a PPP thing or being solely run?
We can't. If we have started driving the conversation around ICT trainings and all of that, it's impossible for us not to have a plan to have it all. Because of course that's where people get trained. That's where when we train people and say you are now trained, you can start working, and they need internet access, they need a place to go, right? So we can't train people and not provide them a place at least they can work from.
So there is a
plan to have that.
Okay, let's just stick with the hub because that's one of the best and easiest way to do transactions or in this modern age in which we are. Osun State, the youth thus far, what's their commitment towards, or what's the government's commitment towards the youths? Because once we can take the youths out of the streets who are probably not doing too well, the society is for the better. Is there any plans, major plans for youths when it comes to ICT in Osun State at this moment in time?
Yeah, so speaking about the youth, I'm speaking for my people.
You keep saying youth.
I am.
No.
I don't have gray hair.
So who are you referring?
I wonder if it's my gray hair. By the way, you are throwing shit, but it's okay.
Nice one. I take that. No problem. Right. Go ahead.
So you see, when that IT business, even though it's a business that doesn't have age limits, the large number of people who are in that space are youth. And so there is no other better target for the state government in that regard than the youth. So I only often say that people need to be people should be ready to embrace whatever it is that government wants to do. The prejudice that maybe is for their party members alone is going to kill a lot of people that should have benefited, right? So, for instance, the state government through the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology has started registration of IT business owners, so that we can have a database of people who are in that field.
Can you say that again?
Like we have a website where people who are in the IT business, internet information communication technology, can register their businesses with the state government, and we have that going on already.
Now, people are aware.
People are aware.
Mr. ISHOLA.
People are aware.
I'm not aware.
Maybe you're not in that field.
I've not spoken to people that are aware. Is there a link or an address?
There is a link. Okay. I'll bring it up for you. Okay. There's a group of people in this state. Two of them. One, Forum of Digital Innovators and Entrepreneurs. Foodites. The other one, Women in Technology. Okay. IDOWU in Osun. So it is that forum, those two organizations were formed as a product of the conversations that the state government was driving around IC. I remember clearly I was at the inaugural meetings of the two. So both the one for the girls and one for the ladies anyway. So with that we want to have access to other people, and I keep calling on people to join these associations, register their business. When we are doing a bi-monthly webinar where we discuss issues around IT.
Since when?
Starting last month.
Last month.
Okay. Yeah. So we are doing that. That's in partnership with OSBC anyway. And we keep announcing our plans to people to say, look, we want to do this. You can join us. And so youths, in fact, everybody in these two groups that I mentioned to you earlier are youth, right? So only that I keep saying people should be ready to embrace whatever it is that the government wants to do. Readiness is a major problem. Readiness is a major, and that's individual. There's no amount. It's personal. It's personal. As much as we want to say, I don't want to sound like I'm pessimistic, but youths, our orientation to issues like this need to change. All right. So that we can, make a better living for ourselves. And because of course, government is an entity, not a person. So for instance, government, the word government cannot feel the pain of subsidy removal. Because government is an entity, not a person. The only pain government will feel is money spending. Because of course it's spending money to ameliorate, poverty. But people need to be ready. Okay. That's like the bottom line.
Now, for those that are ready and they want to be a part, because when you encourage somebody, you want to empower them, if that word is the right word to use, by the way, and then you want to give them skills, you want to make them interact, to gain knowledge, because you are talking about knowledge. How can they be a part of this forum you have talked about? Is there an office? Is there an address or
because
link?
Of course it's a new forum that is formed, so they are still working on all of those things, all of those details. The one I said earlier about the state government registering businesses, yes. The website is startup.osunstate.gov.ng.
Again, please.
Startup.osunstate.gov.ng. I'll share with you after now. If they have further questions to ask, the number to call is 090-4959-9510. 090-4959-9510. 10.
No, just hope by the end of this,
I'll share with you.
I hope Mr. Deji will not be on your
I'll just take it to marketing.
You're asking me.
I'll just take it to marketing once we are done.
You are asking me to make the information known to
Of course, people have to be aware. The details you have given, once you're out of the studio.
Yeah, we'll just go straight to marketing. No, he's capable.
They tell you your bill. All right. Is that the only address?
That's for the startup registration.
Okay.
That's for the startup registration.
How much?
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free. It's free. That's for us to have a record of people who are practicing, one thing or the other. And this does not limit. It's not limited to whether you are selling data or you are selling or you are digital marketer. You can register to get known by the state. Yeah. So for the forum, I won't be calling them my number. Okay. But anybody they can reach out to me. SHOLA, I'll be readily available.
On any of your social media handles, you could drop that and
SHOLA, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay, as we coast home now on this conversation, let's bring you back to the palliative thing. Now, if anybody is listening and watching you right now, of course they are, and sometimes the distrust of the past is what makes people not to hold, to take government and their handlers seriously again because of their experiences, and some, even if there are good intentions. We have spoken passively about engaging and embracing opportunities. Now, for somebody looking at you, watching you this morning, and you've talked about the palliative and now it's going to be shared, and they are wondering, would this be worth it? What would be your message for them?
First of all, I don't want to use the word wise, but I think the appropriate thing that all of us should first of all acknowledge is that palliative is for the less privileged. It's for the people whose finances and businesses has suffered, more than any other person.
Using that metric, I wonder.
Because of course,
whose finances has not
all of us have
suffered.
Affected.
Yeah. And when you say the less privileged, what's the gauge?
I use the word less privileged because you and I know that some people whose businesses. Okay, let me give an instance. Someone who is a roadside, hawker, whose entire business is not worth more than 5,000 naira. That person, the prices of what that person is selling will have increased, right? And of course, the person's finances at home will also have increased, right? So what it means is it's going to tell, and in most cases, some of them are even borrowing that money, right? So it means that their businesses is already going down the drain. And I can say to the two of you here that you cannot compare such persons with you. So I mean, I think that those are the people that we all should focus on more than any other person. People who on a normal day businesses. I mean, they don't even have what to eat on a normal day. Talking of now that normally they are, some of them are begging for food. Now those of us that they are even begging cannot give. So we should focus more on those people. Everybody who can afford to eat should allow people who can't afford to eat to have a share of this. That's the way I think we should go.
All right.
And we will definitely, from here at Western Spring Television, Rave 91.7 FM, we try as much as possible to go around to these various local governments to check on how the distribution is being done. We want to appeal to those in charge of distribution. Please, just like Mr. ISHOLA has stated, and us here as well, let's just give these things to the less privileged, those who 100% need it. It's just grace that some of us can really still do the needful, feed our family, feed ourselves, but there are certain people who can't at all, so that we can take insecurity, banditry, we take it out of this society. So we are appealing at this moment, local government chairman, whoever are those, the committee set up that are being put together, please, we appeal. Please, let's do what it takes to give these people this palliative. Want to thank Mr. SHOLA ISHOLA, the media assistant to Osun State Governor on ICT. It's always a pleasure having you around us anytime.
Thank you very much for having me.
The jab, I got it. I'll see something. I'll do something about
great thing. All right.
I'll do something about it.
Let me quickly add, talking about the mode of distribution, the various organizations saying those organizations will know how to reach out to their people. And I hope the government, who is in charge, because the government is in charge now, will have its person supervising these things on a daily basis so that there won't be excuses and excuses, because definitely the people won't talk about the NBA, the CAN, the NASFAT, the various organizations. They will mention the name of the state government so that you will be held accountable for this, so that we don't get to hear funny stories at the end of the day, especially at this very critical time. Thank you, Mr. ISHOLA.
Thank you for having me.
And also, we would like to use this opportunity to thank Mr. Governor as well and his entire team for making it happen at all times. Thank you for making it happen and for the quick distribution as well. But please, Mr. Governor, please, we will admonish and we'll urge that please monitor this by yourself and with your people. We will be back again tomorrow. Thank you to everybody who has put in one thing or the other, one effort towards the success of the midweek edition of Morning Spring from Western Spring Television channels 190 on the Star Times DTT. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow for the Thursday edition. Today, IDOWU remains my name at Irresistible TD on X.
All right, Femi Ojo is my name, and as I always say, God bless Nigeria. Have a fabulous day ahead. Bye-bye.
Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapa War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kuromi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South Korea. Japan had leveraged on its military power to annex Korea in 1900 and imposed a military union that did not sit well with the citizens. Japan not only lost its war of conquest against Korea, all its powers were obliterated by the effect of the World War II. The end of World War II got Korea divided into two nations along 38 parallel lines by the instrumentality of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. The Korean War lapsed into a Cold War when it stopped the prying eyes of external forces into the internal affairs of a nation now divided along its north